Joy, there's a question from Brooke if we can record this. I don't think in this session, but we can. Yeah, I see you started the recording. And then that way we can make sure we document all the questions that come in. I will say we're also, from the previous webinar, any emails we've gotten, and then today's session, we'll also make sure to track down any questions that we get repeatedly so that we can send that out to you all hopefully soon with any further guidance here. With that, I feel free to use the chat or to raise your hand and we can address any questions. Marn, I hope I'm saying your name right. I know you emailed us earlier. I see your message in the chat that you uploaded your information and haven't heard back. Do you mean the portal hasn't run the validation, hasn't responded, whether it passed or failed? Because we are aware that there's an issue on the portal and we might have to bring this up again later as more people join. There is a slight issue with the portal right now. They're trying to work through it, the ServiceNow developers, where it's not giving that pass or fail response. It normally takes, up to an hour, and it's just not working right now. They're working to get that resolved. And hopefully, they'll be able to resolve it hopefully sometime soon, and then we'll follow up with anyone that's already uploaded if we need anything additional once that's fixed. But there's nothing else needed from your end at this point. If you were able to upload and aren't seeing that, that's a problem on the application side. Joy, I'm not sure if you're able to see the chat. I don't know what happened to my.
Yes, Sheila asked if the file needs to be named a certain name before a school uploads.
Oh, go ahead, Joy. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Sheila, that you can keep the name, should be titled S-EBT Student Submission Template when you upload the file. TDHS will be able to link that your file is associated with your profile, even if it shares the same name as other people's submission templates.
Brian, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I went to the link that we have always gone to that, of course, pushed us to a new website. So the PDF that y'all sent out saying where we upload our file does not exist anymore.
And what was that link that you said you followed?
So if you click on the link that was sent, let's see if I can find my email. One second, let me scroll back here.
I'll try to pull it up as well. Make sure that
because now it's going to tdhs.service/net or -now.com/CSP. And it's pretty much looks like more of a parent site than a admin site.
/CSP, that's not the link that it should be taking you to. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joy, but it should be /school. It could be because you already logged in when you clicked into that.
No, I've logged out. I've logged in. Every time I click, I have the original, what you all have there as far as what's on the PDF. But even the paperwork or the email I got said that this website will no longer exist as of the 22nd. Let me see what the portal name before was /PEBT, or the end of it was PEBT_school. And it was going to get pushed to the new service of dhs.tn.gov navpage.do. And that is pushing to this other, this site that looks like a parent portal.
Got it. Yeah. So Joe King in the chat clarified with the correct link. It should be /SEBT_school.
Okay, so they sent the wrong. Well, the old one doesn't
Yeah, it
push
wouldn't
it out
work.
to that line. It's pushing it to a parent portal. Let's see
Yeah.
what this gives me.
I apologize about that. I'm not sure
Nope.
what the
I'm trying to find
disconnect
the
was
email
there.
now that went out when it said you have a new. Here it is. It came from. I'm not sure. It says TN Department of Human Services, thomas.sprague@tn.gov is where it came from. And it says the link of TDHS school portal has a PBT school. Well, actually, for some reason, that link, yeah, I see this. That link is forwarding to the parent site.
I'm
I would
not
recommend probably if we
sure.
push that link to that SBEPT. I see it now in the email here. But for some
Yeah, the
reason, it was pushed.
communication we sent out on Monday should have the right link. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
that one is you received.
It was when they recreated or recreate a password for me. For some reason, I don't know why
Got
they did
it.
it.
It was like an automated ServiceNow
Yeah,
email.
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why
mean,
that included the wrong link, but our communication on Monday has the right one. It's the one that Joe here pinged in the chat.
Yeah, I pulled that.
Okay. And let us know if that works for
Monday.
you.
Let's see. Who sent it on Monday? Because I may have just missed it with everything I got.
It should have come from Brittany Nikolic.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm
Monday
there now,
morning.
so I'm good.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out. I don't know. It seemed like there was confusion there amongst others. Kim, I see your message. I have a CP County and no applications are taken anymore. Am I only looking for the foster? That's right. Yeah, if you don't have migrant runaway, you would just be uploading foster and homeless population. Yeah, no NSLP applications, obviously. We're not looking for the full enrollment, just those foster and homeless children that you're tracking. Cheryl, will you send us a new email with the correct link to the portal to upload our file? Like I mentioned, it was in our communication. I think the automated email maybe had the older link for some reason, but our latest communication had the right one. And I'll ping it again here in the chat. I wonder if there's a way to pin that here. Okay, you're good now, good. But we'll address as many times as we need to here, just to make sure we're straight on. I apologize for that. Not sure what happened there from the ServiceNow portal. Did anyone else? I don't see any raised hands or any other messages, but my chat was being a little funky a little bit earlier, so I apologize if I'm just not seeing it. But any other questions from anyone here on the chat? In the call? I'm not hearing any. I just want to reiterate this session. We'll be on for the full hour, and we'll be here to, answer any questions that come up, and people can trickle in and out as you need. And we are aware that there's an issue with the portal. It's not automatically validating the files. We're looking into that, hopefully get a response on that soon. And we'll follow up with any districts, or DHS will follow up with any districts that they need any additional validation from. They will check for doubles. Yes, Martin, that's correct. There'll be many points where records will be deduplicated all the way into issuing benefits. So as much as possible, we'll be removing any duplicates, make sure we're not issuing benefits twice to anyone. Spring asked, if a student is free due to Medicaid free, do we upload them? They would not have submitted an application. No, I mean, if it's easier for you to include them, if it's like all housed in the same repository and it would be a pain to remove them, you can include them in your upload. But you definitely don't have to. These students will already be captured. We're grabbing that data on our end. And that's something we'll clarify in the FAQs as well, because it's come up a few times, but we already have access to Medicaid data, a good amount of the foster data, but we still ask you upload those. And then SNAP, TANF, we'll be pulling that data on our end from TMAC. So there's no need for the schools to do that. It's really just the NSLP foster homeless migrant runaway that we could use the additional help with gathering. Cheryl asked, do we still need to upload our students with extended eligibility? I'm blanking on what exactly extended eligibility means in this context, but like I just said, it's approved NSLP application. Go ahead, Joy, sorry.
Extended eligibility, that was something that one of the regional consultants brought up during the last week's webinar. And yes, they should, just to make sure that we're not missing any potential students. But like you said earlier, we're deduplicating. So if there is a double, it's fine.
Yep. Yeah, all right. Any other questions from anyone on the call? Please feel free to raise your hand or just come off mute or use the chat anywhere. Shane, see your hand.
Yes, question, if we need to do a second upload of students that have come on since we do our initial upload, do we resubmit the entire group again or just the additional students?
You can do just the additional students. We checked with the DHS team, and any additional uploads would just be appended to the overall list. So you can just do the additional students in a second upload.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Medicaid reduced, are they included or do we upload them? They're included as part of what we pull from, we're going to be pulling from TMAC. You can, if it's easier for you to upload them, if they're all in the same repository, if removing the Medicaid would be a huge pain, then you can go ahead and upload them and we can remove the duplicates later, but it's not required. That's not what we're looking for. Will there be a number for districts to give parents in case they call the school? There will be a number. It'll be like the one TDHS number. It's not set up to go live just yet. It'll be live. I would have to double check what the projected date was, but I know it's later in May. We'll be sending out a communication with that information once that goes live, but that would be the best place to direct parents once that goes live. And the TDHS S-EBT website, they're working on getting that ready for any questions that may come from parents. Those would be the best resources to direct parents. And once those are available, we'll make sure to send out to everyone. If students withdraw before the end of school, should we worry about notifying someone? No, it's not a concern. For S-EBT, as long as they were enrolled in an SLP participating school and met other requirements at some point during the year, then they're good to go. We're not as concerned with the exact enrollment as we were for PEBT. Will there be any type of media marketing information provided for districts to share with households about who needs to apply and where to do that? TDHS is preparing additional press releases, and we do plan, at least tentatively right now, we're planning on sharing those with the districts so that they can then share out with the schools as appropriate, and then those can be shared with parents for their benefit. And like I said, on their S-EBT website on DHS's portal, we should be able to help answer some of those questions around eligibility as well for any districts or parents that are still a little confused about it. And it will include the link to the application once that's ready. It'll have information about, when the portal will be going live and have that link once that's ready to go for the applications. And information about paper applications. Yes.
Emmanuel, I just want to jump in. This is Brittany Mikulich. Frankie, I saw your question about media and marketing information. I was on a call yesterday with the DHS communications team and the Accenture team working with DHS. They will be making social media toolkits for marketing purposes for Summer EBT that districts can use, as well as some website resources as well. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
It does. Thanks, Brittany.
Thanks, Brittany. I'm trying to pull up the list of hands here. I think it's just legacy one still there. What do... Sorry, it cut out for me. What do private schools need to put in the student ID column since they do not use state student IDs? Let me... I was under the impression they would still have some sort of ID, but let me double check here. Joe, I don't know if you're still on the call and you can maybe help answer that. I think we're running into some blanks for some of the other data that we're uploading, and I'm not sure how we plan on handling that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So for private schools, if they have submitted a student before, they just want to use whatever identifier that they used previously for that student. Normally they have some sort of local ID that they would use. If that local ID has any overlap with a student that's previously been uploaded, they'll get an error that says that that SSID is shared by a previous student. And then someone from the contact center will reach out and advise them on the best way to rectify that. Normally they'll just add 9D9 in front of the SSID so that the local ID does not repeat in the system, or 99 at the end or something like that, just so that they're not creating any duplicates and they're not overwriting students whose state student IDs are already in the system. But if private schools have any more specific questions on that, and they're encountering errors, there will be they'll have a contact center agent reach out to them and with more specific guidance on the best way to rectify that.
Thanks, Joe. Gary, I see you raise your hand.
Yeah. Hey, Emmanuel. Good morning or good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Just a clarifying thought here. One of the questions asked about Medicaid reduced. Are they included or do we upload them? We don't upload them because they're not receiving free. Is that correct?
You're coming in a little low. I don't know if it's just me and cutting out a little bit.
It's probably my audio, but I don't believe we're uploading Medicaid reduced students, just those students that are receiving free meal benefits, correct?
That's right. We're not requiring those. If they're part of another list, like I mentioned, and it's easier to just include them in your upload, it's not a problem, and we should be able to deduplicate any, but we're not requiring that whatsoever. We're really just looking for those approved NSLP, foster homeless, migrant runaway. Janet, I see your chat. The CP district here, if a student is homeless and also has SNAP, we don't have to worry about uploading them because they will be automatically picked up from SNAP, correct? Yes and no. I would still upload them just to make sure that they're captured. In theory, we'll grab them from the SNAP database and they should be good to go, but only students that are within the compulsory age of 6 to 17 would be captured as eligible directly from SNAP. And those students, if the student in question is outside of that age range, but they're still part of your school, and they are a homeless student, then I would still upload them to make sure that they're captured. Vicky, what if we have a new student enrolled after we have submitted our file and they're fostered? Do we upload a new file? Yes, you can upload a new file, and it can just have that student or any new students that you need to upload. No need to resubmit the same information. You can just upload a separate file with the new information. All right. Any other questions for anyone on the call? Like I said at the top, I know we've had a few folks trickling in, so I don't mind repeating it, but this is more an informal session for anyone that does have questions. Don't feel like you need to stay on for the whole hour. You're more than welcome to hear questions others may have. But this is really more about any questions that anyone still has lingering following up from our last webinar and now that the portal is live. And we'll be documenting some of the frequently asked questions and sending those out to you soon to have that on hand. Just to clarify, so all NSLP free reduced will need to be uploaded. Yes, that's right. All approved free or reduced NSLP application students will need to be uploaded. Along, if it's a separate list as well, any foster, homeless, migrant, runaway students, if you're tracking those separately for nutrition purposes, then that we would need those uploaded as well. Any word on who will process paper applications? The process hasn't been ironed out just yet, no. DHS is working on ironing out those details. And we'll definitely share those once we get more word. But no final decisions on that just yet. We do expect that to be a much lower, and we're going to be highly encouraging everyone to submit online applications just to ease processing and to speed things up a little bit. And we'll have the help center that will help walk folks through how to submit an online application, and hopefully that'll be the primary method for anyone to submit applications. But per USDA regulations, that paper application does need to be an option, and we want to have that as an option for anyone that needs it. But yeah, that being said, we don't have any final process just yet. Nothing to share. And like I said, please feel free to raise your hand or just come off mute or continue using the chat anyway is fine for any questions you may have. Okay, Lisa asked, to prevent a child from being missed, would it be best practice to upload all our free and reduced students, including those that are DC? Yeah, I think that's fine. I think, like I said before, if you upload any students that we already identified through other methods, we still are very much planning on deduplicating and making sure we're not sending DHS the same student twice as much as possible, and they'll be deduping as well on their end before issuing benefits. So I'm not sure if I necessarily would call it best practice, but if that's the easiest way for you to get all your students uploaded, I think that's fair, and we can work with whatever you send over, as long as it captures what we need, which that definitely would. If you see me, by the way, off to the side here, we're just trying to document the questions that come through. Like I said, we'll be sending out follow-ups with any frequently asked questions. So just making sure I capture everything. Me and my team here are just making sure to document everything. Is there a DOB date range? We had some SPED students who had to be submitted separately for PBT due to age. No, as far as the information coming from you all, from the districts, there's no real age range. If they have approved NSLP applications or they're one of the other populations that we mentioned, foster, homeless, migrant, runaway, we're not concerned with the age range. That only comes into play for students that are not in NSLP schools. Then we're concerned with like the compulsory age. But as far as the uploads from you all, we're not really concerned with that.
So there will be some validation on the age range that is submitted to make sure that the date of birth is within something that's like relatively normal for a school-age child, and you may need to submit some of your SPED students if they are on the younger end. They may be manually uploaded and taken out of that process, taken out of the normal upload process and uploaded offline, similar to PBT. It'll function very similarly to PBT, and if you think that one of your students should be eligible and you're getting an issue with the date of birth, you'll have a contact center agent reach out to you and they'll give you more information on how to make sure they're uploaded, but it'll be very similar to PBT. But if they have an NSLP application or they're foster, homeless, and attending your school, they should be eligible. That validation is mostly just to make sure that that's mostly to ensure that there is a date of birth that's entered and it's been entered correctly and not fat-fingered or something like that.
Thanks, Joe. Mandy asked, can you copy and paste information from Synergy or TMAC into the spreadsheet? Yeah, absolutely. If that's the easiest way. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Synergy too much. I don't know if this is if it's technically possible to copy from there. But as whatever is easiest for you to get it into the template that we need the information uploaded. As long as it might, require additional manual effort to make sure it's within the guidelines that we set up. So like student ID has to be X amount of digits or date of birth has to be in this certain format. But as long as it's in the template and it's within the guidelines, it's completely fine to copy in that information from whatever relevant system. Brett asked, will marketing materials be provided to districts to distribute about the process for non-DCCP students to apply for S-EBT? Brittany, I don't know if you're still on, if you want to address that. I know you answered that earlier.
Yes. Yep. DHS is working to create social media toolkits and some other resources that will be both online and in print for districts to utilize for parents.
Thank you. And there's a follow-up, Brittany. Is there a timeline for that? I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, no, I asked about that as well, and they do not know yet.
As soon as that's available, though, we'll make sure to, share that. And I've probably going to sound like a broken record, but there's folks trickling in every so often through the lobby. And I just want to reiterate, this session is for any questions you may have following up from the last webinar or now that the portal is live. We'll be here for as long as anyone has questions, and we'll be here ready to answer those, but don't feel like you need to stick around for the whole session if your concerns have been addressed. But obviously you're welcome to stick around and ask any questions or listen to the questions that others have. More than welcome. And you can drop those in the chat, raise hand, come off mute, whatever works. No problem with repeating. We have no problem with repeating answers, by the way. Do we still need to upload our students with extended eligibility? Yes. Joy, I think you were more familiar with that from the last webinar. It kind of slipped my mind a little bit, but I think the answer there was yes.
Yes, just to make sure that we're not accidentally missing anyone. If there are duplicates, then TDHS and us will handle it.
Mm-hmm. And like we said, Joy, I don't know if you have it. Sorry to not to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you have the slide that has our shared inbox on it. I know we've shared that before, and we've had some emails come in through there, and we try our best to respond to those as soon as we can. If you want to put that on the screen, maybe just so folks know where to go if they need to drop off or they come up with questions after the fact.
Yep, I'll start sharing my screen.
Thank you. After becoming a CP school in January, we had 3 new students that sent in applications. Do we need to process those to see if they qualify? You're saying 3 new NSLP applications once you had already transitioned to being a CP school. Josh and team, I don't know if you have more insight on it, but my instinct would be no. That process of sort of verifying those NSLP applications ended for you prior to January?
I can comment on that, Emmanuel, if you want. I would not process those, or you shouldn't process those, because part of being a CEP school is to no longer process applications. So even if those were submitted, you should not process those moving forward.
Thanks, Randa.
Oh, it's open here. Just asking.
By the way, what Joy pulled up here, that's our shared inbox. It'll go directly to my team, to Josh and a few of his team members as well. And we've been helping to answer any questions that come up. But please feel free to reach out there if anything comes up that we don't get to on this call. Is this something that will be in place every summer moving forward? The S-EBT program, it's a little up in the air right now. It's up to the governor if this program continues into 2025 and beyond. No word on that just yet. Martin says, since we have submitted today but not heard back, will we be notified if we need to resubmit? Yes. Ideally, the team is looking into the issue that's not automatically validating files, and they may have to do some work to get those validated, and they'll do their best to not have to bother anyone after the fact, since you already submitted and weren't able to get that validation right away. But if they do need anything else, they'll be reaching back out and letting you know what the issue was, what needs to be fixed before resubmitting. Once you upload a file, how long does it take to process? I just uploaded a file with about 5,000 and it has to be set there. Yeah, so there's a problem with the portal right now. Unfortunately, the validation process usually takes under an hour. I think typically 15 to 30 minutes, but an hour at most. And right now it's on the fritz. They're looking into fixing that, and hopefully we get a resolution on that as soon as possible. Like I just mentioned to Martin's question, if you already submitted that and aren't seeing that validation, that's nothing else needed on your end for now. If the DHS team find that they need to reach back out to ask for any information to be clarified or to be resubmitted, they'll reach out. But for now, we're aware of the issue, and hopefully we get a resolution here soon. And thank you all for your patience on that. Were districts supposed to receive new login credentials for this portal submission? We submitted the latest list of nutrition supervisors over to DHS. There were some that already had credentials from PEBT, but we did reset the password for all users. So that temporary password should have been sent to your emails, and that should be the password that you use, at least for the first time login, and then it should prompt you to update your password. So if you already had credentials, it should be the same username to my understanding, just with the temporary password. The passwords have been reset for everyone. Thank you for that question, by the way. We've seen that come in on the email, and yeah, we just need to clarify, if you had existing credentials, your password was still reset to that temporary one. If we did not get a new temp password, who do we contact? You can reach out to our email that we have on the screen now. I would suggest maybe looking in the junk folder. Sometimes those credentials, those emails go to junk for whatever reason. We saw that a lot with PBT. I'm just not sure if I can say what the temporary password is on the call. But you can reach out to us and we can talk about it, but it's pretty much the same temporary password for everybody. But we'll address that separately with you, and if needed, we'll reset your credentials again. If that doesn't resolve it. For anyone that's just joined us, we'll be here for the full hour answering any questions that anyone may have, and you're welcome to stick around and listen to those, but we're really just sort of an office hour session for anyone that had any lingering concerns around the upload process. Brooke asked, can you speak on the districts who elected CP mid-year and what to do with the applications they collected earlier? Yes. So we addressed this in the webinar last week, but that is a good reminder to bring that up again, because I know there was a point of confusion around that. So for those that transitioned to CP mid-year, We still are asking to upload any NSLP applications you had on file prior to that transition. Please still upload any approved free and reduced NSLP applications along with the homeless, migrant, foster, runaway students, because those applications would, qualify them for S-EBT benefits. The S-EBT application, as a side note, is pretty much just an NSLP application without the requirement for a social security number. So if those were submitted while you were still, while you were not a CP school, we can still use that to certify students. If you're solely, to Heather's question, if you're solely a CP district and in transition this year have been CP since the beginning of the school year, we are just looking for foster, homeless, migrant, runaway students that you have identified. Because those, the data we're pulling from TMAC is like Medicaid, SNAP, some of those other students like foster, we're pulling from TMAC as well, but it's helpful to have the full list from schools. It'll be more accurate that way. And then the other students, aren't really tracked in TMAC in the same way. So that's all we're asking is those foster, homeless, migrant, runaway. Oh, you got it, Joy. Thank you. And like I said earlier, we're compiling sort of the Q&As from this previous webinar, anything we've gotten through email, and we'll hopefully get that over to you all as soon as possible. We've gotten a lot of good questions, and there's a lot of like specific ones. We want to make sure it includes as much as possible before we send out to you all. So the turnaround may take a little bit, but we're hoping to speed through it and get it over to you all as soon as possible, so that you have it for this upload process, or some of them are just S-EBT related questions in general, and we can try and address those as well. That being said, if anyone has, I know this is more about the uploads webinar, but if there's any S-EBT program questions, we've had a few, during this session, but if anyone has any questions around the program, we can definitely help answer those as well.
Manuel, Cindy Stevens asked a question about extended eligibility students that live in a household with a direct cert students. And yes, you should still upload them just to make sure that we don't accidentally miss anyone.
Yes, thank you, Joy. I don't know how I missed that. And let me, while we wait and see if anyone else has any other questions, let me look at our notes from our last webinar and some of the questions that came through then. See if we can get ahead of some other questions and just give some good reminders here. Let me look through this list, but please feel free to come off mute or use the chat if you have any other questions. We got a question last time, and I think it's a good reminder about when parents would be able to see their eligibility information in the portal. Right now, the tentative date is May 27th, so late May is the target for that. That they'll be able to log in and see if they've already been identified for benefits, either through this upload process or from Streamline certification from the data we're pulling from TMAC. That was something that was asked last time. Let me see what else came up. repeatedly. Yes, the Q&As will be sent out. Yeah, we're just we'll be organizing that and pushing it through our comms process, but we'll send those out to everyone as soon as possible. Yeah, thank you, Audra. Something, oh, I just saw it here, now it disappeared. I had a good reminder and I lost it. Oh, something that came to our attention after the webinar last time. For the date column on the template, that's the date. I think the title right now is date FNR application received. If you don't track that date, if you don't, if this is just a foster homeless migrant student that didn't have an actual NSLP application on file, the default you can put in there is 7/1/2023, which is just signals the beginning of the school year. Or alternatively, you can use the date that application was approved, if that's a date that you're tracking. It doesn't necessarily have to be the received date if that was a different date, or if that's not something you have readily available. The date that the application was approved is also acceptable, as long as it fits, you know, the guidelines, the date format that we set. Let me see what else may have come up here. I think we've addressed a lot of the larger concerns we had on the webinar last time. Jennifer asked if the uploaded file has any other columns past the date FNR application received, will they be ignored? For example, when creating the file, it is helpful to have the eligibility, but it's not one of the required fields. We can't accept them if it's not in the exact template. So if any additional columns, I think it would be a fail upload for the file. At least I'm fairly certain. I know we can't really mess with the template too much. Even changing the text in the column headers could cause issues. So I think adding a new column would unfortunately be the same case. If adding any additional columns is helpful as you work through uploading those students, you know, feel free, and then just make sure you drop it off before uploading. That's a good question though. Thank you. All right, I know we have about 10 minutes left on this session, the scheduled time. Like I said, we'll stick around for another 10 minutes here for anyone else that has questions. We'll be sending out the FAQs as soon as possible. And you can always reach us. Joy is sharing here our shared inbox. You can reach out to us with any S-EBT related questions. We'll be more than happy to help you there if we weren't able to address your concern here today, or if something else comes to mind after the fact. So don't feel like you need to stick around with us for the full amount of time, but we will be here. These are our office hours here to address any questions. And we've had a lot of good questions here today, so I appreciate it. And it's good to reiterate some of these things because they've been common concerns that have been coming through.
Hey, Manuel, I have a reminder to add. If there's anyone who, for instance, wants someone on their staff to upload their S-EBT eligible student list, but they didn't receive credentials because they weren't involved in PBT or for whatever reason, please reach out to Summer EBT as soon as you can. It can take up to a week for TDHS to process these access requests. So the sooner we receive that information, the sooner we can get your access.
Yes, thanks for that call out, Joy. And remind the group what information we would need for that person for new credentials.
We would need your phone number, email, the role of the person, the districts or school that the person is representing, as well as their first and last name.
That's it, right? Yeah. Thank you. Good reminder. And oh, sorry, Spring. Who would our credential email have been from originally? Joy, I don't know if you have one of those emails that you can look into in your inbox. I'm not sure. I know it's a default, like
Yep, I can
ServiceNow
find
domain.
it, but it is coming from the Tennessee Department of Human Services.
I'll let you look into that. I'll see if I can find it too, actually. I think I may have a way to verify that. And like I said earlier, sometimes those go to junk for whatever reason. That happens a lot with PBT. So I would double check there if you haven't seen something come through. And then ultimately just reach out to us.
It will be coming from the Tennessee Department of Human Services. When you open the email, it's going to have their logo in a large font right at the beginning of the email.
And what is the actual address that it's coming from? Do you know?
That I need to follow up with our TDHS counterpart just to make sure I'm not saying anything wrong.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can find one of them, or if somebody else in the chat has received that and wants to share what email and domain it came from, that'd be helpful. But we'll follow up with you, Spring, if we don't get an answer for you here on the call. Sit down here. Just jot that down for a follow-up. Oh, I'm sorry, you had another message. Do we only upload students that are currently active or those that have been active enrolled with us at any point this year? That, oh, it was from Thomas Sprague, right? Somebody mentioned that on the call earlier. Thomas.Sprague@TM.gov. Thank you. Yes. Back to your question. Joy, I don't know if you know the answer off the top of your head. I might have to double check what our guidance was from USDA. As far as we understand, someone is eligible as long as they were enrolled in an SLP school at any point during the year. So I think whatever you have from at any point this school year, please upload. If they are identified by another school or through other means, like I said, there will be a deduplication process, so it's not really an issue. But if you can easily access those that were with you at any point this year, I think we would ask that you upload those as well. Oh, thank you, Joy. Yeah, as a reminder, I know we're nearing the end of our session here, and thank you all for the questions so far. If you have anything else we can address in these last 4 minutes or so, please feel free to come off mute or leave it in the chat. But this is the email you can reach us if you do have any follow-up questions or anything comes to mind. Please feel free to reach out to us there. And thank you all, by the way, as a side note, for all your work so far. We've gotten a lot of emails with people that had questions on the credentials or on the portal, but it just shows people are really trying to get their students uploaded as soon as possible, and we really appreciate that. the sooner the better, especially if there's anything we need to follow up again about. We really want to have those students fully uploaded, validated in the portal by the 10th to make sure that benefits are issued in a timely fashion in June. So really appreciate everyone's efforts on the call on getting those uploaded. And if there's any, like I said, questions or anything we can do to help simplify the process for you, please reach out. We definitely want to help in any way we can. No, thank you. Like I said, we really appreciate everything. I think we can probably wrap up now. I'm not seeing any more hands, no more questions coming in on the chat. Sort of a last call here. Please reach out to us through the email. Like I said, if you need anything, thank you all for attending. Thank you for the great questions and reminders. And yeah, like I said, we'll have the Q&A sent out as soon as possible. So please look forward to that, and hopefully we can address any other lingering concerns. With that, I'll close it out, but thank you all. Have a good rest of your day.